June in Jinghai City. Zhu Yan stood in the underground parking garage of the Jinghai International Convention Center. The door of his black Maybach was propped open, and both his driver and bodyguards had stepped back. 5 meters away. He had just left the bidding venue, clutching a printed copy of the bid floor price sheet. Su Luo's bid came in only 0.01% lower than his. The number was almost too precise to be a coincidence. His security team pulled the surveillance footage from his office within 15 minutes. At 9:47 the previous night, Shen Wanyan had used her fingerprint to enter his private office, and sat in front of his computer for a full 12 minutes. She copied the bid floor price file and sent it via encrypted email to a private server. The server's IP traced back to a shell tech company registered under Su Luo's name. After finishing the playback, Zhu Yan locked his phone and headed down to the parking garage by elevator, his face impassive. He had just reached the car when the click of high heels came hurrying from the elevator bank. Gu Yan. Shen Wanyan's voice carried a lofty, unshakable certainty. She stopped 3 paces in front of him, lifting her chin slightly in a poised, aristocratic gesture. Don't even think about getting back at Su Luo, she said. Gu Yan said nothing. He simply tucked the bid sheet away, and waited for her to go on. Shen Wanyan took a breath, as if steeling herself. I gave him the bid price. I went into your office last night, copied the file and sent it to him. She said it calmly, with no trace of guilt or unease. If anything, she sounded unapologetic, even righteous. Zhu Yan, you already own so many companies. What's one less project to you? This is everything Su Luo has been working for. He's a genuine technical genius. The algorithm his team developed could revolutionize the entire tech industry. Do you understand that? Of course you don't. All you care about is numbers, profit reports, and cold, heartless return on investment. Shen Wanyan grew more heated as she spoke, her voice ringing clearly through the parking garage. I'm protecting talent. You capital tycoons always throw your weight around with money, blacklisting people left and right. Su Luo waited 3 years for this chance. I won't. Stand by and let your corporate machine crush his dream. And don't you forget, if I can walk into your office, it is because I am your fiancée, the eldest daughter of the Shen family. I have every right to make decisions like this. You're in no position to lecture me. Gu Yan waited until she had spoken her last word. The parking garage fell silent for roughly 5 seconds. Slowly, deliberately, Zhu Yan fastened the top button of his suit jacket. His gaze settled on Shen Wanyan's face. There was no anger in it, only cold, assessing scrutiny. Shen Wanyan, he said evenly, I hope the Shen Group's financial statements are as tough as your mouth. With that, he got into the car. The door clicked shut, cutting off whatever she had been about to say next. The black Maybach glided smoothly out of the garage and merged into Jinghai's evening traffic. Shen Wanyan stood where she was, watching the car's taillights vanish at the end of the ramp. A flicker of unnameable panic stirred in her chest, but she quickly pushed the feeling aside. Shen Wanyan told herself, Zhu Yan was always like this, cold and aloof, spouting harsh words to save face when he was embarrassed. But what could he really do? The Shen Group was a long-established enterprise in Jinghai. She was universally recognized as a top-tier socialite among the city's elite. No matter how rich Zhu Yan was, he would never dare actually move against the Shen family. She pulled out her phone and texted Su Luo, all done. He's furious, but he won't be able to do anything about it. Su Luo replied instantly, Wanyan, you're my savior. Let's celebrate tonight. I booked a table at the Cloud-Top French restaurant. A smile tugged at Shen Wanyan's lips, and warmth spread through her chest. Su Luo understood her. He saw her as a person with a soul, not an empty shell caught up in the gears of capital. With Su Luo, she felt alive, like a real flesh-and-blood human being, not some future Mrs. Jihu who had to carry herself with perfect poise at all times. She hailed a taxi and headed straight for the Cloud-Top French restaurant. Meanwhile, Zhu Yan's Maybach was heading north along Jinghai's main thoroughfare. He sat in the back seat and did not speak a word the entire ride. Zhou Heng, his assistant in the passenger seat, glanced at him cautiously through the rearview mirror. His boss was scrolling through his contacts, his finger gliding across the screen. Zhu Yan made the first call. Old Chun, revoke all 3 billion yuan of credit guarantees the Jinghai Consortium has extended to the Shen Group. Effective immediately. Notify the Risk Control Department to draft the paperwork overnight. I want signed revocation confirmations from every bank on my desk by 8 a.m. tomorrow. He hung up and dialed a second number. President Li, the Jinghai Consortium will no longer provide any form of credit enhancement for the Shen Group's 1.5 billion yuan credit line in the second half of the year. Furthermore, I'd advise your bank to reassess the Shen Group's asset quality and debt servicing capacity. I have materials regarding their financial statements that may assist your risk control judgment. I'll send them to your inbox before the market opens tomorrow. Third call. Prepare to short the Shen Group. Reach out to 3 institutions. I want at least 500 million yuan in short capital in place by 9 a.m. tomorrow. Lu Qingtan has already sent you the target analysis report. Shen Group's stock is overvalued by roughly 300% right now. You know what to do. The fourth call went to Lu Qingtan. Qingtan, initiate Operation Hunt. Notify our media channels. At 9:20 a.m. tomorrow, leak news of the Shen Group's financial fraud on the financial industry intranet. Don't release an official press release. Use anonymous sources. Let the rumor ferment within the circle first. You control the pace. I have only one requirement. By 9:30 a.m. sharp, Shen Group stock must hit the lower limit. Lu Qingtan replied calmly on the other end. Understood. Capital and channels are all in place. Zhu Yan hung up and set his phone face down on his knee. The driver glanced at him in the rearview mirror, then quickly looked away. Having worked for Zhu Youyan for 6 years, he knew exactly what that expression meant. Someone was about to be ruined. Mr. Zhu, Zhou Heng ventured carefully, should I notify Miss Shen in advance? No need, Zhu Yan said. Let her sleep one last peaceful night. Zhu Yan's tone almost sounded considerate, but a chill ran down Zhou Heng's spine. He had worked for Zhu Yan for 5 years, witnessed countless of the man's business moves. He knew Zhu Yan's defining trait. He never threatened anyone. He only settled scores. At 11:00 that night, Shen Wanyan was clinking glasses with Su Luo at the Cloud-Top French restaurant. Su Luo wore a tailored suit, his tie slung loosely around his neck, the image of a brilliant, unstructured tech genius. Wanyan, I toast to you on behalf of every entrepreneur crushed by capital. Su Luo lifted his wineglass, his eyes glistening. You know, when I stood on that stage today, I only had one thought. I didn't win the bid for myself. I want to prove that technology shouldn't be monopolized by money. Tycoons like Zhu Yan hold the fate of entire industries in the palm of their hand. It's unfair. But we won. Shen Wanyan clinked her glass against his. Looking at Su Luo's excited face, she was filled with an almost noble sense of fulfillment. This was justice, she thought. She had helped a true idealist defeat the cold, unfeeling machine of capital. Zhu Yan would probably never understand the feeling. He was nothing but a precision instrument built to calculate input and output ratios. Don't worry, Shen Wanyan said with a smile. With the Shen family backing you, Zhu Yan won't dare touch you. He may have money, but we're not to be trifled with either. A flicker crossed Su Luo's eyes, quickly replaced by a look of profound gratitude. He took her hand. Wanyan, I'll owe you for the rest of my life. Shen Wanyan shook her head. Don't talk about owing. She had been about to say on the same side, but the word felt too intimate. Shen Wanyan had never actually defined a relationship with Su Luo. She simply enjoyed the feeling of being needed, of playing the role of a savior. In front of Zhu Yan, she was always the one being judged and evaluated. But in front of Su Luo, she was the lofty benefactor, a goddess who held the power to decide another person's fate. It was intoxicating. Shen Wanyan didn't notice the messages popping up one after another in her family's group chat. At 1:00 in the morning, Zhu Yan stood in his office. He was staring at the screen in front of him. It was covered in dense, endless data, all related to the Shen Group. Lu Qingtan stood 2 paces behind him, holding an iPad. At 34, she was known as a she-devil in investment banking circles. Working her way up from analyst to CEO of the Jinghai Consortium, she had cleaned up more bad debt than most people would see in a lifetime. Mr. Gu, the revocation letters for the 3 billion yuan credit guarantee were all signed and sealed within 3 hours. Lu Qingtan swiped through her iPad, her tone steady. Every bank has outstanding loans to the Shen Group. Cross-default clauses will be triggered tomorrow. We hold roughly 630 million yuan worth of Shen Group convertible bonds. The conversion date is next Thursday. If Shen Group's stock falls below the strike price tomorrow, we have the right to refuse conversion and demand cash redemption instead. How much cash does the Shen Group have on hand? Zhu Yan asked. Public data from the end of last quarter puts it at around 120 million yuan. But based on the internal accounts we've obtained, the real number is less than 30 million. Last quarter, the Shen family did sale and leaseback deals on 2 commercial properties and took out 3 private loans. The interest alone cost them 4 million yuan a month. If the banks call in their loans, their cash flow won't last the month. Zhu Yan gave a small nod. What about the Shen Group's equity pledges? The old master of the Shen family has pledged his 31% stake in the Shen Group 3 times over, involving 4 trust companies. For the Batchwit H, the highest pledge ratio, the warning line is set at 12 yuan per share, and the margin call line at 9.5 yuan. Shen Group closed at 13.7 yuan today. Will it fall below 9.5 yuan tomorrow? Per our short-selling plan, it will most likely drop below 8 yuan, Lu Qingtan answered without hesitation. Gu Yan turned around. His gaze settled on the leftmost screen, which displayed Shen Wanyan's social media account. She had just posted a new update, a photo of the night view from the cloud-top French restaurant, paired with a glass of red wine. Captioned, "Cheers to real dreams." What about Suluo? Zhu Yan asked. Suluo's Star River Technology has a registered capital of 50 million yuan, 0 paid-in capital and no fixed assets. All its core technology relies on 3 patents, and the ownership of those 3 patents is disputed. 2 of the patent inventors left Suluo's company last year and are currently suing for intellectual property rights. More importantly, the winning bid project for Star River Technology requires 5 nanometers process training chips, and the supply chain for those chips is entirely within the Jinghai Consortium ecosystem. Zhu Yan finished the sentence for her. Exactly. A faint curve tugged at Lu Qingtan's lips. Morningstar Semiconductor's tape-out capacity, Jinshi Microelectronics packaging and testing lines, and the 3 downstream integrators all have exclusive agreements with us. Suluo won the project, but he won't get a single chip. Without chips, his algorithm is just lines of code that can't run on even a single development board. And per the bidding contract terms, he must complete the first batch of deliveries by next Friday. Otherwise, the penalty is 30% of the total project value, 3 billion yuan. Gu Yan gave a single impassive nod. Before the market opens tomorrow, notify all suppliers. Already arranged, Lu Qingtan said. At 8:30 tomorrow morning, every company affiliated with us will simultaneously send an official notice to Suluo. Due to tight production capacity, they cannot fulfill supply orders. Suluo won't get so much as a bare die. Gu Yan said nothing more. He stood by the floor-to-ceiling window. Every day in this city, countless transactions took place, contracts signed and torn up, capital flowing and freezing, companies founded and bankrupted. Zhu Yan had fought his way up here for 15 years, starting as a trader at a small private equity firm to become the hidden mastermind of the Jinghai Consortium. He'd seen too many people enter the game, and too many get eliminated. To him, the Shen family was just the next to fall. By 5 in the morning, every link of Operation Hunt was locked in place. As Lu Qingtan left the office, she glanced back over her shoulder at the doorway. Gu Yan was still standing by the window, an unlit cigarette between his fingers. Mr. Zhu, Lu Qingtan said, is there anything else you'd like me to handle? No, Zhu Yan said. We wait for the market to open at 9:30. After Lu Qingtan left, Zhu Yan walked to his desk and sat down. He pulled a document out of a drawer, flipped to the last page and signed his name. It was a letter of intent to acquire the Shen Group's core subsidiary. The buyer was a shell company registered in the Cayman Islands, and the actual controller of that shell company was a merger fund under the Jinghai Consortium. Zhu Yan closed the signed document, leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. At 6:10 a.m. His assistant Zhou Heng pushed the door open, carrying coffee and a stack of freshly printed materials. Mr. Gu, all three institutions have confirmed. 620 million yuan in short capital is in place. The bank's risk alert letters will go out simultaneously at 9 a.m. On the media side, Ms. Liu has scheduled the leak for 9:20. Zhu Yan took the coffee and took a sip. Any movement from the Shen family? Miss Shen Wanyan had dinner with Su Luo at the Cloud-Top French restaurant until early morning, then went home separately. She must have drunk quite a bit, she's still asleep. What about the old master Shen? Shen Zhengdi played mahjong with a few old friends last night, didn't leave until 2 a.m. He seems completely unaware of what's going to happen today. Zhu Yan set down his coffee cup. All he had to do now was wait patiently. Mr. Zhou Heng hesitated. Are you really not going to give Miss Shen any chance? After all, our two families have been friends for generations. Old Master Shen did help your father back in the day. Zhu Yan turned to look at Zhou Heng, his expression unchanged. Zhou Heng, what kind of person do you take me for? Zhou Heng froze. I never owe anyone anything, Zhu Yang said. 10 years ago, the Shen family invested 30 million yuan in my father's project. Over the past 10 years, the Shen Group has taken 4.7 billion yuan in financing and guarantees from the Jinghai Consortium in total. I've given them tenfold, hundredfold returns. What I'm taking back today isn't some old favor from the Shen family. It's the money I lent out. Shen Wanyan crossed my bottom line last night. Cross that line and you pay the price. At 8 a.m., when the maid woke Shen Wanyan, her head was throbbing dully. The red wine from the night before had a worse hangover than she'd expected. She only remembered her assistant helping her into the car, and losing one of her shoes by the time she got home. The maid came in with a bowl of bird's nest soup, and set it respectfully on the nightstand. Miss, your beauty salon appointment is at 10. Would you like me to reschedule? No need. Shen Wanyan rubbed her temples and stirred the soup with a spoon. I'll just clear my head a little. She finished the soup slowly, then got up to wash up. The woman in the mirror had delicate, refined features. Shen Wanyan looked at her reflection and the corner of her mouth tugged up unconsciously. She thought she looked especially beautiful today. Probably because she was in such a good mood. Helping Su Luo win the bid had left her glowing with quiet, confident pride. She changed into a new early autumn outfit, grabbed a limited edition handbag and went downstairs. The driver already had the car waiting at the villa gate. At 9 a.m. Shen Wanyan arrived at the beauty salon. It was the most exclusive private beauty club in Jinghai, with a 500,000 yuan annual membership fee. An entry required both a current member's referral and an asset review. Shen Wanyan was a diamond tier member, entitled to private suites and customized services. She lay on the treatment bed with a facial mask on, while her best friend Zhao Shu, daughter of another old wealthy Jinghai family, sat beside her. They chatted idly back and forth. I heard about it, Zhao Shu said, a note of schadenfreude in her voice. That shell company of Su Luo's actually won the bid. Zhu Yan must be furious, right? Shen Wanyan's eyes stayed closed, but a smile tugged at her lips under the mask. Let him be furious. What's he going to do? The bid is won, it's all in black and white. He can't just take it back. You're so bold, stealing his bid floor price and giving it to an outsider. Zhao Shu clicked her tongue. Aren't you scared he'll get back at you? A guy like Zhu Yan? Get back at me for what? Shen Wanyan laughed dismissively. No matter how rich he is, he can't touch the Shen family. Our families have been friends for generations. My father helped his father through a rough patch back in the day. With that history, if he dared move against us, his own father would be the first to stop him. Besides, I'm his fiancée. It's not like he can do anything to me. Zhao Shu was quiet for 2 seconds, then laughed along. Fair enough. You just know he dotes on you. Shen Wanyan didn't correct the word dotes. In her mind, Zhu Yan's support for the Shen family had always been a given payback for the Shen family's early investment in the Zhu Yu family. Just the natural course of favors between the two clans. Zhu Yan's money was the Shen family's money, and the Shen family's resources were Zhu Yan's resources. That equation was deeply rooted in her head. At 9:30 a.m. Shen Wanyan's esthetician was giving her a facial massage when her phone buzzed once. Answer it for me, Shen Wanyan said. The esthetician held the phone to her ear. Shen Wanyan had barely said hello when the voice on the other end exploded. It was the housekeeper from the Shen family estate, his voice shaking so badly he could barely get the words out. Young miss, something terrible has happened. The master Slow down. What's going on? The stock, Shen Group's stock. Young miss, turn on the TV right now. Shen Wanyan frowned and told the esthetician to stop. She sat up, ripped off her mask, grabbed the remote, and turned on the TV in the suite. On the screen, a financial news anchor was speaking in the urgent tone of a breaking report. We have just received news that Shen Group shares have plummeted in a steep nosedive since market open today. Already down 8% and triggering an intraday trading halt warning. According to market sources, multiple financial institutions including major banks issued risk alerts on the Shen Group this morning, announcing they will tighten or suspend credit lines to the company. In addition, anonymous market sources have told this station that the Shen Group may be involved in severe financial fraud. Shen Wanyan stared at the screen, stunned. You're kidding, right? Zhao Shu sat up too, staring at the TV in disbelief. Your family's company, what's happening? Before Shen Wanyan could answer, her phone rang again. This time it was her father, Shen Zhengdi. She picked up and his frantic voice burst out, Shen Wanyan, did you provoke Zhu Yan? The shout made her ears ring. Dad, calm down, The Jinghai Consortium revoked all 3 billion yuan of credit guarantees overnight. Shen Zhengdi's voice was cracking. 3 billion, all gone in one night. Have you seen the news this morning? The bank's collection letters are already at the company, and 3 institutions are shorting our stock down 11% already, about to trigger the circuit breaker. Shen Wanyan's mind went blank, buzzing. She opened her mouth, trying to think of something to say to steady the situation, but nothing came out. Zhu Yan's offhand line from the night before echoed suddenly in her head. I hope the Shen Group's financial statements are as tough as your mouth. Cold sweat broke out across her back. Where are you right now? Shen Zhengdi roared at her. Get home immediately. The bank people are already here. They're seizing our assets. Get back here now. The call cut off. Shen Wanyan's fingers were stiff around her phone. The financial news kept scrolling on the screen. She stood up mechanically, let the esthetician wipe the remaining mask residue off her face, and pulled on her coat. Wanyan, are you okay? Zhao Shu called after her. Shen Wanyan didn't answer. She walked out quickly, reassuring herself silently as she went. It's fine. Zhu Yan is just letting off steam. The Shen Group is too big to collapse overnight. Besides, Su Luo won that 10 billion project. Once it launches, cash flow will turn around and the Shen family will pull through. She called Su Luo. It rang 3 times before he picked up. He sounded exhausted and irritated. What is it? Su Luo, something's wrong on my end. Shen Group's stock is crashing. I think Zhu Yan is actually making a move. Shen Wanyan tried to keep her voice steady. Is your project okay? Can you advance me part of the project funds first to help the Shen family with cash flow? Wanyan. Su Luo cut her off, his tone harder than anything she'd ever heard from him. I've got problems too. This morning, every single integrator sent me notices saying they can't supply me. I can't get a single chip. Shen Wanyan froze. Without chips, how am I supposed to deliver the project? Su Luo's voice grew frantic and agitated. Do you know how much the penalty is? 3 billion. It's right there in black and white in the winning bid contract. I thought I'd won last night, but this morning I realized I lost everything I had. Zhu Yan cut off the entire supply chain. He wants me dead then. Then, what do we do? Shen Wanyan's voice started to shake. What do we do? I want to know the same thing. Suluo was practically shouting. Didn't you tell me it'd be fine last night? Didn't you say the Shen family had my back? Look at us now. The Shen family is about to go under itself. You knew what kind of man Zhu Yan is. Why did you have to provoke him? You stole the bid price, fine, but did you have to go tell him he's cold-blooded, that he doesn't understand dreams? Did you have to hand him an excuse to bury us? Tears streamed down Shen Wanyan's face. She'd never heard Suluo speak to her like that. He'd always been gentle and attentive, putting her on a pedestal, not hysterical like this. After hanging up, Shen Wanyan rushed to the salon front desk to pay with her card. The cashier swiped her black card. The machine beeped twice and displayed transaction failed. Miss Shen, this card has been frozen, the cashier said with an awkward smile. Blood rushed to Shen Wanyan's head. She pulled out the other 3 credit cards from her wallet and swiped them one by one. All frozen. In the end, Xiaoshu paid for her. But Xiaoshu's demeanor had already shifted. She stepped back, putting distance between herself and Shen Wanyan. Wanyan, something came up at my company. I have to go. Shen Wanyan watched her walk away quickly, without even glancing back. She stepped out of the salon and stood by the roadside trying to hail a taxi. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold on to her bag. While waiting, she scrolled through her Moments feed and found over a dozen comments under her post about toasting to dreams. Every single one was mocking. Miss Shen, did you know your family's stock just hit the circuit breaker? Heard the Shen group got seized by the bank? Hilarious, weren't you drinking at Cloud Top last night? Girl, can your black card still work? Want me to buy you a nice meal? Shen Wanyan shut her phone screen irritably, unwilling to look any longer. When she arrived at the Shen family estate, she realized things were far worse than she'd imagined. 4 cars were parked outside the villa. 2 official bank vehicles, 1 court enforcement van and 1 tow truck. More than a dozen uniformed personnel were affixing seals to the villa's front gate. Shen Zhengdi stood on the front steps, his hair disheveled, yelling explanations at the bank manager. When he saw Shen Wanyan get out of the taxi, his face turned livid. He strode over and grabbed her by the arm so hard she stumbled. Look what you've done! Shen Zhengdi roared, spittle flying in her face. Look at the mess you made. Zhu Yan revoked the guarantees last night. 3 billion. The Shen Group's cash flow is gone. Done, Dad. You're hurting me. You have the nerve to say that. Shen Zhengdi raised his hand and slapped her hard across the face. The blow was brutal. Shen Wanyan fell to the ground, half her face swelling up instantly, her ears ringing. She'd never been hit in her life. Shen Zhengdi, for all his preference for sons, had doted on his only daughter, rarely even scolding her. Now that single slap shattered not just her pride, but every illusion she'd held about being the Shen family's privileged young miss. Do you have any idea the Shen family has been insolvent for ages? Shen Zhengdi crouched down, grabbed her by the hair and hauled her up. Shen Group's cash flow dried up 3 years ago. Do you have any idea the Shen family has been insolvent for ages? Shen Zhengdi crouched down, grabbed her by the hair and hauled her up. Shen Group's cash flow dried up 3 years ago. You think that Bentley you drive is yours? It's on a payment plan. You think this villa is yours? It's mortgaged to the bank. You spend $500,000 a month. You think that's your money? It's all Zhu Yan's. All money. From the Jinghai Consortium. Shen Wanyan stared at him, her lips trembling. I begged and scraped to keep this family afloat, hanging on by a thread thanks to Zhu Yan's funding. Do you know why he helps the Shen family? Because his father owed your grandfather a favor. And now? You've thoroughly provoked him. You've cut off the Shen family's last lifeline. I didn't. Shen Wanyan's voice cracked with tears. I just wanted to help Suluo. Suluo? Shen Zhengdi's face twisted with rage. You still dare mention Suluo? Do you have any idea what he is? A con artist. Running a Ponzi scheme. His company has 0 paid-in capital. All his core technology is tied up in IP lawsuits. He tricked you into stealing Zhu Yan's bid price just to win that 10 billion project and scam the next round of funding. You got played and you're still helping him count the money. Something in Shen Wanyan's mind snapped with a deafening roar. Shen Zhengdi was about to say more when a bank employee walked over, his tone flat. Mr. Shen, per the court ruling, all assets under the Shen family's name are now under asset preservation. Please cooperate and vacate the premises. This villa will enter judicial auction proceedings tomorrow.
Vacate?
Shen Wanyan stared at the man blankly. What does that mean? It means this house no longer belongs to the Shen family, the employee said impassively. Once the judicial auction is complete, the new owner has full rights to the property. Please move out your personal belongings by the end of today. Shen Zhengdi let go of her hair and collapsed onto the steps. The man who had dominated Jinghai's business world for 20 years, head of the Shen group, looked utterly broken in that moment. Shen Wanyan knelt on the ground, half her face swollen badly, tears and snot running down her face. Numbly, she pulled out her phone to call her socialite friends for help. First call, no answer. Second call, hung up after one ring. Third call rang for a long time before being picked up, the voice on the other end cold and distant. Wanyan, I'm tight on money. Right now too. I really can't help you. Then it hung up. Shen Wanyan held her phone, feeling the world collapse around her, piece by piece. That afternoon, the Shen Group was officially placed under mandatory trading halt by the Shenzhen Stock Exchange, and announced it was under regulatory investigation for suspected major violations. All of the Shen family's bank accounts were frozen, and all 37 properties under Shen Zhengdi's name entered judicial auction proceedings. Shen Wanyan realized she even had to borrow money from the housekeeper just to take a taxi to Su Luo's company. By the time she arrived at Su Luo's office, it was nearly dark. It had started raining in the afternoon, coming down harder and harder. Her coat was soaked through, her hair plastered to her face, and her shoes were full of water. Every step made a squelching sound. Su Luo's company was on the 12th floor of an office building. Shen Wanyan had been there a few times before, always dropped off in her Bentley, with Su Luo waiting for her by the elevators. He'd show her around his tech team, rambling about algorithms and architecture she couldn't understand, but thought sounded brilliant. Back then she'd thought his office breathed idealism, that everyone there had fire in their eyes, a world apart from Juyan's cold, cutthroat capital jungle. Now, as she walked into the building, the security guard in the lobby didn't even glance at her. The elevator reached the 12th floor. When the doors slid open, Shen Wanyan was stunned by what she saw. The hallway was piled high with office equipment and clutter. Several monitors were stacked crookedly in the corner, and papers and shredded debris littered the floor. One of the glass doors to Su Luo's company was shattered, shards of glass kicked to the side. Shen Wanyan carefully stepped around the broken glass and went inside. The office was even more of a mess. Several desks had been overturned, the server cabinet doors hung open, half the hard drive cables torn out. Red spray paint on the wall spelled out 2 big characters, P-up. Su Luo stood by the only desk still standing, shoving a laptop into a bag. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, with dark circles under his eyes and a thick layer of stubble on his jaw. Su Luo, Shen Wanyan called out to him. Su Luo lifted his head and saw her, and his face changed instantly. It wasn't surprise, it was the look of someone who'd stumbled upon something inauspicious. What are you doing here again? Su Luo zipped up his laptop bag roughly, his voice thick with impatience. Shen Wanyan's eyes reddened. The Shen family's bankrupt. All my dad's assets have been seized. I don't even have a place to stay. Su Luo, you said we could what? Su Luo cut her off sharply, the muscles in his jaw twitching. Go bankrupt together? Get crushed by Juyan together? Look at this place. Debt collectors came and smashed everything up this morning. All the suppliers backed out of their contracts. I can't get a single chip for the project. The penalty is 3 billion. 3 billion. Do you have any idea what that means? It means I'll never dig myself out of this for the rest of my life. Shen Wanyan froze, stunned by the venom in his voice. Su Luo slung his laptop bag over his shoulder and strode toward the door. As he passed her, she reached out instinctively and grabbed his arm, as if clinging to her last lifeline. The blow was even harder than Shen Zhengdi's. Shen Wanyan was sent stumbling backward into a filing cabinet, the back of her head hitting the metal with a dull thud. Her ears rang, and a wave of dizziness washed over her. You idiot! Suluo jabbed a finger at her, spitting with rage. If you were gonna steal the bid price, why did you have to run and tell him you did it? You think this is some cheesy romance drama? You think you were protecting a genius? Taking a bullet for me? Let me tell you something, Shen Wanyun, you're nothing but a spoiled, brainless little rich girl from start to finish. You thought Juyan wouldn't dare touch you? He just didn't bother. But you crossed his bottom line, and now he's taken down the entire Shen family, and dragged an innocent guy like me down with you. You're nothing but bad luck, Shen. Wanyan held her swollen cheek and stared up at him blankly. Through her tears his face blurred until she could barely recognize him. Not long ago he'd been saying to her, Wanyan, you're my savior. They'd clinked glasses at the cloud-top French restaurant to celebrate. And he'd said, I'll owe you for the rest of my life. But now, the way he looked at her was colder than the way Juyan had looked at her in the underground parking garage. You! Shen Wanyan's lips trembled. You said you loved me, was that all? Love you? Suluo gave a cold, bitter laugh, his expression savage with defeat. Shen Wanyan, I loved the identity of being the Shen family's young miss. I loved the resources of the Shen group behind you. I loved that black credit card of yours. I loved the access you gave me to get around Juyan. And now? Your family's bankrupt, your cards are all frozen, you can't even support yourself. What can you give me? A record as a deadbeat with billions in debt? Just stay the hell away from me. Don't drag me down with you. Shen Wanyan could barely breathe, gasping for air. Suluo pulled his phone out of his pocket. When the screen lit up, Shen Wanyan saw a video playing on it. It was footage of her confronting Juyan in the underground parking garage that day. She could hear her own voice clear as day. I gave him the bid price. I went into your office last night, copied the file, and sent it to him. You think only Juyan has security cameras? Suluo stuffed his phone back in his pocket, a vicious grin on his face. My people were there too, in the parking garage that day. I've had this video saved this whole time, just in case you tried to throw me under the bus. Shen Wanyan, you're the one who stole trade secrets, not me. I just got an anonymous email out of nowhere. How was I supposed to know it was from you? Shen Wanyan froze completely. What are you going to do? She heard her own voice shaking. What am I gonna do? Suluo adjusted the strap of his laptop bag on his shoulder, walked to the door, and glanced back at her one last time. I'm going to save myself. Juyan's legal team already sent a lawyer's letter. They're suing for 1.5 times the total project lost, 15 billion. If I take the fall for this, my life is over. But if you take it, you're the one who goes to prison, not me. Shen Wanyan tried to push herself up, but a sharp pain shot through her ankle. She must have sprained it when she hit the cabinet. She watched helplessly as Suluo unlocked his phone, dialed a number, and spoke in a disgustingly obsequious tone. Jinghai Capital Legal Department. This is the whistleblower on the Shen Wanyan trade secret theft case. I have full video evidence of her confessing to the crime. Yes, I'm willing to cooperate with the investigation and testify in full. Shen Wanyan collapsed to the floor. She tried to scream, but no sound came out of her throat. That night, officers from the Economic Investigation Unit showed up at Suluo's office building. 2 police officers walked into the ransacked office, hauled Shen Wanyan up off the floor, and took her away. By the time Shen Wanyan was brought into the interrogation room, she had completely broken down. She sat on a metal chair, across from 2 impassive police officers, and a stack of printed evidence. The video Suluo had provided played on a screen in the room. In the footage, she spoke unapologetically about giving him the bid price, every word clear as day. Shen Wanyan, based on the evidence we have, you are suspected of violating Article 219 of the criminal law, committing the crime of trade secret infringement. The amount involved exceeds 10 billion yuan, making this an especially serious case. The officer reviewed the files carefully and went on. If convicted, you face 3 to 7 years in prison and a fine. In addition, Mr. Juyan's legal team has filed a civil lawsuit seeking 15 billion yuan in economic damages from you personally. 15 billion. When Shen Wanyan heard that number, she actually laughed. She remembered what she'd said to Ju Yan in the parking garage. You already own so many companies. What's one less project to you? Now she finally understood. For Ju Yan, it was never about one project. It was about his rules, his bottom line, the unbreakable law of his business world that no one was allowed to trample on. And she hadn't just trampled on it, she danced all over it. I want to see Ju Yan, Shen Wanyan said suddenly. The two officers exchanged a glance. I want to see Ju Yan, she repeated, louder this time. Let me see him. I have something to say to him. The officers did not respond. The interrogation continued. The chain of evidence was airtight, and the facts of Shen Wanyan's crime were undeniable. At 3 in the morning, she was transferred to a detention center and placed in a solitary cell. Over the next 3 days, the Shen Group officially entered bankruptcy restructuring proceedings. Shen Zhengde was taken in by the Economic Investigation Unit on suspicion of loan fraud. All assets under the Shen family name were seized and frozen by the court. Shen Wanyan's mother went back to her family's home to lie low, and all the Shen relatives scattered like she had the plague. None of the socialites who'd called her their best friend in elite circles ever came to visit. Shen Wanyan waited in the detention center for 3 days. Gu Yan never came. 3 days later, given the Shen family's circumstances and Shen Wanyan's clean criminal record, the court approved her application for release on bail pending trial. But her movements were strictly restricted to Jinghai City. She had to report to the police station every week, and her passport and ID were confiscated. The day she was released, Shen Wanyan stood at the gate of the detention center and, for the first time in her life, had no idea where to go. Homelessness had never been a concept she'd ever had to consider in her life. The Shen family estate was seized. Her mother was staying with relatives. Her father was in detention. There was no money left in any of her accounts. All her bank cards were frozen. Even the change in her WeChat wallet had been forcibly deducted as suspected case-related funds. Shen Wanyan stood on the street for a long time, then somehow found herself walking to the Shen Group headquarters building. The building stood in the busiest part of the city center, a landmark built during the Shen family's prime. But today, workers were taking down the 4 large characters spelling out Shen Group from the top of the building. Piece by piece, Shen Wanyan stared up at the sight, her hands clenched tightly at her sides. She heard the sound of steady footsteps behind her, and turned to see a group of people walking from the parking lot. Several bodyguards in black suits led the way, and in the middle of them was a woman, Lu Qingtan. Shen Wanyan knew exactly who she was. Ju Yan's most capable CEO, a fearsome figure in investment banking circles, rumored to tear opponents apart at the negotiating table until there was nothing left. Shen Wanyan had seen her a few times in Ju Yan's office before, always passing each other in the hallway. She'd never paid her much mind, writing her off as a cold machine working for capital, nowhere near as alive or soulful as herself. Now that woman was being escorted into the Shen Group building by a crowd of people. She was holding a stack of documents. Shen Wanyan followed her inside without thinking. Renovation work was underway inside the building. Lu Qingtan stood in the middle of the main lobby, giving instructions to several project managers. Move the front desk to the left. Clear the right side for a visitor waiting area. Tear down the entire Shen Group wall of honors and replace it with the Jinghai Consortium industry map. Reassign all former Shen Group executive offices. Floors 20 and above go to the merger fund. Floor 19 to the semiconductor division. When she finished, she turned and saw Shen Wanyan. The air went still for a moment. Lu Qingtan closed her documents and walked toward her. She stopped 2 paces in front of Shen Wanyan. Miss Shen, the property transfer for this building has been completed. The place you're standing right now is owned by Jinghai Capital. If you don't have any official business here, please leave within 3 minutes. Shen Wanyan's mouth twisted. Lu Qingtan, you're nothing but Ju Yan's lapdog. Eh, what? Lu Qingtan glanced down at her watch, her expression unchanged. A lapdog who works for a living? People born with silver spoons in their mouths always love using that phrase. You think working for someone else makes you inferior. You think earning a living with your own professional skills is somehow less noble than lying on your family's fortune and living a life of reckless indulgence. Miss Shen, Let me tell you a fact today, Mr. G. You entrust me with full authority over 10 billion yuan projects because I'm worth it. As for you, your only value was your last name. And right now the Shen name is worth nothing. Shen Wanyan's face flushed bright red. She wanted to argue, but had no words to push back. Everything Lu Qingtan said was true, each word landing precisely on her rawest wounds. You helped Gu Yan destroy the Shen family. Do you feel even a flicker of guilt? Shen Wanyan forced the words out at last. Lu Qingtang glanced at her. Miss Shen, you've got one thing wrong. It wasn't me, and it wasn't Mr. Zhu, who destroyed the Shen family. It was you. Her tone was perfectly even. You used the access Mr. Zhu gave you to steal his trade secrets. You sold the bid price to a Ponzi scammer. You stood in front of Mr. Gu and swaggered about how this was the Shen family's right to act as you pleased. Every link in the direct chain of cause and effect that led to the Shen family's bankruptcy traces back to the choices you made. I'm just a professional manager executing a commission task. Liquidating the Shen family's assets is my job, the same way swiping your credit card to shop used to be yours. The only difference is, my work creates value. Yours cost 15 billion. With that, Lu Qingtan turned and walked away. Shen Wanyan stood in the middle of the lobby, surrounded by busy workers, none of whom so much as glanced her way. In the building that had once belonged to her family, she was now a complete stranger. 3 days later, the first creditors' meeting for the Shen Group's bankruptcy liquidation was held at the Jinghai Intermediate People's Court. Shen Wanyan was required to attend as a former senior executive of the group. She sat in the corner of the back row. The seats in front were packed with creditor representatives, a dense crowd of people. Shen Wanyan spotted several familiar faces, uncles and elders who'd toasted and flattered her at Shen family banquets in the past. Now their gazes slid right past her, and none of them said hello. The meeting was presided over by the court-appointed bankruptcy administrator, who was reading out the liquidation report. The Shen Group's total liabilities were 4 times its total assets. The repayment rate for ordinary claims was expected to be less than 3%. Several major creditor representatives slammed their fists on the table on the spot. Where is that old crook Shen Zhengde? Get him out here. He scammed us out of billions. Where's he hiding? The Shen Group's financial reports were faked 3 years ago. A middleman told me the Jinghai Consortium was backing them. That's the only reason I lent the money. Now that Jinghai pulled out, we're all ruined. The bankruptcy administrator explained for ages, but the meeting room still descended into chaos. Shen Wanyan huddled in the corner, ducking her head, unwilling to face any of it. But what was coming still came. A white-haired old man suddenly turned and pointed straight at her. You're Shen Zhengde's daughter, aren't you? Your family scammed me out of 28 million yuan in payment for goods. 28 million? That's my life savings. Look at the ruin your family has left in its wake. Shen Wanyan trembled all over, too afraid to lift her head. Let me tell you something, young lady, what goes around comes around. Your dad's locked up, your mom ran off, all your relatives have washed their hands of you, and you're the only one left out here. You better pray the court finds you not guilty, otherwise you'll spend 7 or 8 years in there, and by the time you get out, you won't have much of a life left to live. Shen Wanyan bit down hard on her lip, dazed and disoriented. After the meeting, she left through the back entrance of the court. It had started raining again. She held an umbrella she'd borrowed from the court doorman and walked along the sidewalk. Shen Wanyan had no idea where she was going. When she reached an intersection, she heard the roar of an engine behind her. She turned and saw a black Maybach pulling out of the court parking lot. It was Zhu Yan's car. Before her brain could process the thought, her body was already running toward it. She threw her umbrella aside and sprinted through the rain in her high heels. Shen Wanyan charged into the middle of the road, spread her arms, and stood directly in the path of the Maybach. Screeching brakes cut through the air. The Maybach stopped less than a meter away from her. The driver rolled down the window, gave her an icy look, then turned to seek instructions from the back seat. Shen Wanyan ran to the car door and pounded on the window. Zhu Yan, get out! Listen to me! The door didn't move. 2 bodyguards got out of the car ahead, walked over quickly, grabbed her by the arms on either side, and dragged her toward the curb. Shen Wanyan struggled wildly, rain and tears streaming down her face. Ju Yan, let me see you. Just once. Say something. Just say something. The window of the Maybach rolled down. Ju Yan finally looked at her. Miss Shen, the last time we met, you said the Shen family's standing was none of my business to judge. Now the Shen family is gone, and that standing with it. What is it you want to say now? Shen Wanyan spoke frantically. Ju Yan, I was wrong, I really was wrong. The Shen family's bankrupt, my dad's been arrested, Su Luo ran off. I can't even afford to eat out here on my own. Help me, I'm begging you, for the sake of… She trailed off. For the sake of what? For the sake of their family's long friendship? The Shen family owed Ju Yan more money than her entire family could pay back in generations. For the sake of their engagement? She'd already torn that engagement to shreds the second she gave Ju Yan's bid price to another man. For the sake of what we had. She forced the words out anyway. Ju Yan glanced at her. Sentiment? He repeated the word. Shen Wanyan, there was never any sentiment between us. Our relationship was a contractual one. I provided capital and credit backing. The Shen family provided channels and brand resources. It was a business deal. You broke the deal, and I'm taking back what I invested. That's all there is to it. But you were right about one thing just now. Let me leave you with this. You ruined my project, I took over your family. An equal exchange. No debts left between us. We're even now. Ju Yan rolled the window back up. The Maybach pulled forward again and vanished into the rain. 3 months later, the Shen Group's bankruptcy liquidation process reached its final step. The court ruled the Shen Group officially bankrupt, with all remaining assets to be disposed of via judicial auction. A merger fund under the Jinghai Consortium acquired the Shen Group's core assets in a bundle at an extremely low price. Ju Yan walked into the building now bearing the Jinghai capital sign. A commotion drifted in from the lobby outside. Ju Yan caught sight of a familiar figure. Shen Wanyan was chased to the building entrance by several burly debt collectors. She'd lost a lot of weight, her hair was dull and brittle, and her face was streaked with panic and dishevelment. Ju Yan. She spotted him in the elevator and ran toward him as fast as she could. Ju Yan, I have something to say to you. I'm begging you, come out and just listen to one thing I have to say. The elevator doors slid shut. Ju Yan stood inside, watching the scene unfold with cold indifference. When he reached the top floor and stepped into his office, Lu Qintan was already waiting for him. Mr. Gu, the final batch of asset transfer documents require your signature. Lu Qintan set a stack of papers on his desk. Ju Yan picked up his pen and signed page after page. When he finished, he set the pen down, leaned back in his chair, and closed his eyes for a moment. There's a small house the Shen family owns on the west side of the city, Lu Qintan said. Ju Yan opened his eyes and looked at her. It's a 70-square-meter-old apartment under the name of Shen Wanyan's mother's family. Shen Wanyan is living there now. It wasn't touched during liquidation, since the property isn't under Shen Zhengdi's name. Gu Yan didn't respond. Should we seize that property too? Lu Qintan asked. Ju Yan was silent for a few seconds, then shook his head. No need. A 70-square-meter-old apartment isn't worth launching a separate lawsuit over. We've recovered most of what the Shen family owed through asset liquidation. What's left? Consider it the last bit of dignity I'm leaving old Master Shen. Lu Qintan nodded, made a note on her iPad, and turned to leave the office. Ju Yan's phone buzzed. He picked it up and saw a text from Shen Wanyan. Just one line asking if he'd ever felt even a sliver of genuine affection for her. Ju Yan read it, didn't reply, and blocked the number. Just then, the wail of sirens drifted up from outside the building, growing louder until it stopped right below. Ju Yan glanced down. 2 police cars were parked at the entrance, and several officers were walking quickly toward Shen Wanyan, who was huddled on the steps. The officers walked up to her, presented their badges and paperwork. New evidence had emerged in Su Luo's case, as the principal offender in the trade secret theft. Her bail was officially revoked, and she was to be taken into custody immediately. Zhu Yan stood behind the floor-to-ceiling windows on the top floor and watched the whole thing unfold. After the police cars drove away, he turned around and pressed the intercom on his desk. King Tan, have the legal department proceed with the established plan. Continue pursuing the civil claim against Shen Wanyan, and coordinate with the prosecution on the criminal side to provide all relevant materials. Understood. Lu Qingtan's voice came through the line. One more thing, Mr. Zhu. Su Luo's case is also nearing its conclusion. His company has officially declared bankruptcy. He's personally facing charges of fraud and false accusation. The prosecution is recommending a sentence of 7 years or more. Blinded by blind sympathy for an entrepreneur, the heroine ignored years of support from her fiancé Zhu Yan. She stole confidential bidding data and gave it to the man, breaking business rules and engagement trust. She naively thought love and ideals could override principles. Yet both men acted out of self-interest. The tech man coveted her family's wealth. Zhu Yan responded calmly by withdrawing all credit, shorting stocks and cutting off his supply chain. The Shen Group soon collapsed due to capital rupture, and the so-called genius revealed himself as a fraud who betrayed her. The heroine was charged with stealing trade secrets and faced prison time. The story warns ideals cannot justify breaking rules, and relationships must never be traded for gains. Selfish acts that cross moral lines will drag everyone to ruin.